for a little while, since it was in theaters, my fiance and I, we wanted to catch the movie Sinister, but we never made it to the theaters. Sinister was just released on DVD, and we finally had a chance to watch it. I like this film better when it was The Shining. That's the best way to compare it. This film was essentially like watching a series of snuff films from like the 60s. Or at least had the film grain and all that, the raw production quality of the 60s. Laced with Insidious. She keeps yelling at me, it's Insidious, but I don't even remember this film. That's how much I didn't like Insidious. Just laced with the I don't want to be vulgar, but the mindfuckery of The Shining with Jack Nicholson. Not the remake they did, not that piece of crap. I like this film better in The Shining. I will... This was boring! It was so freaking boring! The whole time I'm just hearing Peter Griffin just shouting in the back of my mind, "Oh my God, somebody throw a pie!" Everybody who said that this film was so good. Ugh. Okay, this was essentially... I forgot to mention Paranormal Activity as well. I thought this film, the way they were advertising it, was about some deity who was able to cross over through not necessarily media, but also pictures and things like that, that when he sees the host, or the person that's looking at it, he's able to cross over the world. Much like Freddy Krueger. I actually just read that comparison online. It didn't click in my head because I didn't see a lot of the similarities between him and Krueger, but looking back, yeah, there are similarities. And this wasn't quite what I expected. The film is 110 minutes, I think, just shy of 2 hours, I know that. I gotta tell you, there was nothing going on. The whole film was essentially, Ethan Hawke plays a father who is a true crime writer, moves into a house where a murder took place, and he's unraveling everything that happened through the discovery of old 45mm film that was in the attic. And the more he's unraveling, the more he's using the deputy to learn more about the series of murders linked to it, which I guess we're up to 5, the more things become clear, the more he starts to see. And he starts to see people. And honestly, the film does have a slightly creepy overtone, and just the discovery of all this stuff and the way that these spirits start messing with them, that's where I get the Shining influence. No. No. And you, shut up. I don't remember Insidious, I'm not comparing it to Insidious, I'm going to remember The Shining, which this clearly took inspiration from. That's my interpretation. Clearly not hers. She's snickering away like, you're gonna get torn apart online. YouTube comments, go ahead. Thank you everyone for encouraging her to do that. This film was so boring. The discovery process just took forever, and it was just repeatedly watching the same stock footage, but 30-35 minutes later discovering something new, such as Mr. Boogie. Mr. Boogie is in fact a deity, or some kind of demonic creature. I don't exactly know how it was explained, because I just don't care, I don't give a damn. That is able to go through, that goes through the film, and somehow the families are murdered. Okay, spoiler alert, because I can't talk about this film without addressing the ending and what's going on. Basically, you spend, I'd say, 90 minutes of the film learning the entire process. Vincent D'Onofrio is in this film, which honestly was the main reason I wanted to see this. I love his acting. I thought he was spectacular in Law & Order, Criminal Intent. Really wish that show stayed instead of SVU, to be honest, but all he did was basically just like, okay, you know, this entire process that you just watched, like the entire 75 minutes of the film, well, let me explain exactly what's going on. Yeah, this thing goes through pictures, captures the host, and then families die. And then the deputy tells him, okay, here's the timeline. Every time somebody apparently moves into one of the previous homes, and then they move out of it, they die. And basically, what happens is, Ethan Hawke, his character, discovers the spirits of some people that were... You're led to believe that they were killed. And what finally kicks him into high gear is going up into the attic towards the very end of the film and seeing everybody sitting, like 4 people, I think it was, 4 or 5, sitting around the film projector that continuously turns itself on throughout many nights and is showing the snuff films. They all turn, and one kid goes, shh. So he falls down the ladder, and then people start, I guess the spirits start throwing the stuff at him. So he takes all the video footage, whatnot, all the film reels outside, burns them, and they leave. Well, it turns out, according to the deputy, once you leave the last murder scene, you basically are the next family to die. And that's what happens. So what this Mr. Boogie is doing, he's taking over one of the children in the family, making the child kill the family, and then is sucked into this spirit world, which is the film. Which is the film of the last murder, or not the last murder, the murder that just took place. Yeah, basically Freddy Krueger kidnapping children. And I was reading on IMDb, there was a theory that was put on there. He's building this children's army. I don't exactly know why, but... yeah, it does seem like that's what he's doing. But I don't know. One thing that I've been reading a lot lately is, like, where are the videos coming from? That's never addressed in the film. So I'm just assuming the film reels, once a family dies, the film reels are either left in the house by Mr. Boogie or one of the souls that are trapped, which happen to be the missing children, or... I don't know. That's basically all I could think of. He takes all of them, like, I'm gonna get the next family. Put them all in this box and leave them. What I don't understand is how Ethan Hawke's character burns all the film reels, and then when they move back home, that box, the projector, and all the film reels are there in the attic waiting for them, with an extended cut that shows the children. That's the only thing I don't really get. Other than that, Sinister's story has been done to death. And from the way she's explaining it to me, this basically is Insidious. Just from the way she just explained it in like 3 sentences. I cannot recommend this film at all just because of how boring it is. I sat here, I'll be honest, I was kind of engrossed in the film. The acting was well done for what it was. Ethan Hawke does an excellent performance. I did enjoy that. Vincent D'Onofrio, the main person I wanted to see, is barely in this film. He's only contacted twice through, like, I think it was iChat, a version of Skype. And all he really does is, he looks like he's just reading from a script. Not that great a performance, but with how minimal it was, I wasn't expecting a lot. The production on it, oh my god. Honestly, because I work on my laptop at the same time I'm watching movies sometimes, like, I'll just talk to people on Facebook or something, I had to shut my laptop, turn off all the lights in the apartment just to try and see what's going on. This film is so dark. There's basically only like one light on the main character, and that's it. Half the time it doesn't even explain where this light is coming from. The flashlights they're using are dim as hell. You can't see crap when they're going. There was a scene towards the end when I just said the extended cuts of the film. He's holding up an envelope. All I see is X. That's it. I just XTE. I had no idea what it was. I looked at her and I asked her, what is that? And she goes, I think it's extended cut. I can't even friggin' read it. I'm straining to watch the film. I mean, it's not even dark in a gloomy, oh, creepy manner. It's just freaking dark. And then the days are just so ungodly bright. I want to know where these mystery lights are coming from. That, oh, well, there's a lamp on the table, but yet the character that's nearby is somehow has more light on him than should. I'll get it. But, like I said, the story is just generic. It's generic as hell. It just seems like a couple of different movies thrown into one. The only scene in this film that I actually really enjoyed, and I missed half of because I had to go to the bathroom and assumed I would miss nothing, but I missed half this scene, was when Ethan Hawke's character, Ellison, fights with his wife, Tracy, because she has no idea this house was the home of a murder. So, it was kind of like watching Dana and I fight. Not necessarily over murder and everything like that. It was basically just like, okay, well, I know here's the problem. Are you going to tell me something worse? Yes. Oh my god! Overacting to the max, fighting harder, reveal something new. Oh my god, even worse! That had me laughing just because of how over the top it wound up being. Unfortunately, the woman that plays Tracy, Juliet Relance, I'm not sure how you say the last name, sucked. And so did her character. Every time she was on the screen, and there were very, very few moments where she actually showed some compassion, she was just this cold-hearted bitch. I hated her from the moment it happened. From like the moment she walked on the screen, I'm like, I don't like you. I want you to die. Her acting was horrible. She's constantly fighting with him, just making him feel like crap because they moved out there and he's writing a novel, which I assume is to help pay the bills. I have no idea if she works or not. I'm assuming she probably does, but I don't know. That's never addressed either. There's so much in this film that's never addressed and would honestly help with character development to make you feel compassion for these people. The son has night terrors. I feel bad for the son. The little girl is just creative at painting and shows empathy to the dead, I guess. But all the wife does is just yell and nag and bitch about the situation. Does nothing to try and help make things better. The thing that really pissed me off at first was when Ethan Hawke's character is saying, remember the first rule, don't go into my office, and she looks right at him and says, and remember the main rule, keep your office door locked. It's like, wow, really? Okay, he's trying to teach the kids not to go in the office, and you're just countering that by saying, oh, well, you know what, you should leave the door locked so they can't get in. And, you know, if they get in, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. You're a fuck-up. It's like, really? You two can't work with him to try and instill this thought in, hey, this is where Daddy works, don't go in. It's bad for you. No, it's just like, you know what, if you go in, it's all Daddy's fault. I don't like that character mentality at all, and that is all this character was. She was just this bitchy, I'm unhappy kind of wife, and she addresses it where I'm tired of getting pulled over for going 5 under the speed limit. I don't like what your books have done to this family. Can't you go back to something else, like editing textbooks? Like, my God, you married this guy, and through some of the footage that he watches from his past, it's clear that she knew what he did prior to marrying him. It's like, you know, you knew what this was going into it. Try and be supportive. Because he even, like, there's a interview where he's talking about marriage and how he said that he would never get married a year ago, but now he did, now he wants kids. Like, now clearly he had fame before he met her, so I don't know. Her character is just written in the most... She's just written to be this horrible character. And I don't get it. Why would you write a character that's so horrible and just show so little compassion throughout the entire film? The writing in this movie is just so incredibly bad. Even the sheriff in this film is two-dimensional, generic, as I don't want you here because I know what your writing is like. And then when he pulls him over towards the end of the film, he basically... he just tells her, go ahead then. He doesn't really even seem concerned about what happened. He's just concerned that maybe the townsfolk chased him out, and he doesn't want to see that written in the book. It's like, okay, so why are you leaving then? What happened? He doesn't even pry. He's just like, oh, okay, good, go. Even Ethan Hawke's character is a little two-dimensional, mostly because he doesn't say or do anything. He's just slowly unraveling this mystery. And there's nothing else to it. It's like, oh, I'm going to watch this movie. Oh, I'm going to see things I didn't see before. Oh, I'm going to slowly drink a little more. And by the end, realize I'm a screw-up. I'm not siding with any one character in the film. It's just, my God, can these characters be any more transparent? So throw in the horrible lighting, the horrible characters. This film was just boring. Yeah, there was a creepy tone to it, I'll give it that, but it was so minimal. The entire time they're trying to clearly build some tension. I'm sitting here like, okay, that happened. I predicted something like that happening. There's no tension. You know when the projector flips on, he's going to find something out new. And if you watched any of the trailers, you know exactly what's going to happen. And basically, the entire film is just like, okay, we're gonna show you, we're gonna hold your hand through this entire thing for this 4 or 5 minute conclusion. So you get it. And honestly, you could just figure it out right from the very beginning. As soon as they mention that all the kids are missing, they show families dying, you can kind of figure out what's going on. It's either the killer or maybe the missing kids. Sure enough, they reveal that at the very end as being the kids. And the thing is, you don't see anyone die outside of the snuff films. That was the one thing I thought this film was going to build up to. Again, spoiler alert. Freddy Krueger, Mr. Boogie, takes over the little girl, the daughter of the family. And I tell you what, it was creepy when she stood there and was talking to her father, holding an axe. I'm sitting there like, oh, for the love of God, please, please, kill him. I want to see some action. Because she drugged, I guess, some coffee that he had or something. And he passes out, wakes up, bound, gagged, and all that crap. She's talking to him. Nothing. She walks out of the room, there's blood all over the walls, and that's it. Then she goes into his office, draws what happened, like the picture they find of all the Mr. Boogies, and the people hanging in a tree, and the car burning. And then all the lost kids show up in the film, and Mr. Boogie's behind the little girl, so they run away. He picks her up, carries her into the movie. That's it. There is no action. You see nobody die outside of these snuff films, and the whole film basically builds up to this family is going to die. That's exactly what's going to happen, and you know it the moment that this film starts. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm assuming there's an unrated director's cut version of this movie that did not get released. There has to be more to this film, with more action, with more creepy events going on. That just got cut and left on the floor. I even checked Amazon real quick. There's no unrated or director's cut version of this film. If this honestly is everything that they shot in chronological order, I'm really let down. There is nothing to this film that actually had me really engaged. I'm sorry, I don't know how some people like this. It started off like a promising ghost story, but at the same time, it just didn't seem to know what it wanted to be as the film goes on. With various good, bad actors, I'll give it a 3 point, no, I'll give it a, 3.5. Not because the expectations I had were not met, but because this was so boring. I want my $5 back for renting this. I really do. I want my $5 back, and I want my 110 minutes of my life back. This was just a boring film, very cliche. I've seen pretty much everything that this movie stole from other ones, done better. Honestly, I would rather sit down and watch Johnny Depp's performance in The Ninth Gate, which is essentially the same amount of creepiness, but I think a hell of a better storyline, and that film bombed. I don't know how this film got over a 6 on IMDb. I don't know how people are saying this is a legitimately scary film. I saw reviews of 10 out of 10 on here. I can't back that up. My personal feeling, a 3.5 out of 10, just because there's nothing that goes on. The story, honestly, could have been told in 90 minutes or less. It didn't have to push 110. Hell, it could have been a 70-minute film that got the point across a lot quicker and a lot better, would have flowed smoother, would have made just as much sense, but instead they made it a 110-minute film that just leaves you, that just drags on and leaves you bored as hell. So, if you really want to see Sinister, and you loved Insidious, obviously, watch it. If not, if you like Paranormal Activity, watch Paranormal Activity. If you liked The Shining, watch The Shining. Hell, watch The Ninth Gate. What else did I don't even remember what else I compared this film to. Huh?
Insidious.
I just said Insidious. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your money. 3.5. The ending is predictable. The whole film's predictable. The writing sucks. The acting could have been a lot better. I don't know what else to say. Sinister was not the film I thought it would be. And it definitely does not live up to anything anyone says. Just don't watch it. If you just enjoy trivial writing, long diluted stories, and could have been told in like an hour. This could have been a made-for-TV film. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Wasn't that bad?
I hated this film. I thought it was boring.
Whatever, your review.
You had the option to hop in and join me. So,
Then we would have spent 2 hours arguing.
yeah, more than likely, and people would have watched the video a lot more.